You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
I do have a bunch of miscellaneous mishmash on my bed, but it's not anything exciting. It is literally a stuffed animal, a heating pad, and a cap that I sometimes wear to sleep because it's lined with silk and I have to protect my curly hair. So,
curly girl method.
So if anyone wants to see what we're talking about, then you should watch us on YouTube. But in the meantime, I'm Grace.
And I'm Chelsea, and we're the Good Evening Girls.
And this is Two Girls, One Crossword.
Your favorite weekly pod word crosscast.
Beautiful. Nice and smooth. Wow. I was just thinking the other day that sirens should go off while I'm recording. But also...
That's a good thought. I like that thought.
We don't say our last names. Sometimes, I think most people do. You know, I think we should start saying our last names.
Oh, for sure. I'm Chelsea Topinka.
And I'm Grace Rowan. That sounds so weird.
Sorry, guys. That was a joke. My real name is Chelsea Rowan. I can't believe it. I just said it for the first time. Live on air.
It's not a secret. I mean, it's my Twitter handle. I'm Grace Topinka anyways.
I actually have some news.
Oh, you do?
I downloaded Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 today on my PS4.
I thought this was going to be crossword related, but I am happy for you.
Thank you. It's not crossword related, but it is important related.
Tony Hawk does not show up in the crossword that often, and maybe he should.
We should have more skateboard terminology in crosswords, now that I'm basically a skateboard pro.
A virtual skateboard pro?
A virtual skateboard pro. Although Matt and I did discuss getting skateboards and learning how to skateboard.
I would love to see you on a skateboard.
I would love to see that too.
If there was a Tony Hawk clue in the crossword, it would probably make it onto my hits and shits list. But there isn't. So instead, I'll just have to say all the other things that made onto my hits and shits list.
If you want to get in our good graces, you need to include Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk or bust, okay? Or his son, Riley Hawk. Anyway, go ahead, Grace. What do we got for today for the hits and shits?
Did you like my segue?
I did, and I ruined it, so I apologize.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, you go first.
Okay. Shall I start with the shit?
Please do.
I love this. Okay, we haven't had shits in a while, haha. But
yes, we did. Last week it was all shits.
Yes, true. So I did the Tuesday, December 15th New York Times by Adam Vincent. This first is a very light shit. I came past it. I wasn't even gonna include it in my list. But then I came across a worse shit later on, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna include two shits for this puzzle. For shits and giggles. So I'm going to start with the light shit first. And this is just kind of like a little reminder to any crossword constructors out there. 7 down, but then again, ... in text. And the answer is OTOH, which stands for on the other hand. I literally have never, ever used OTOH or seen anyone ever use OTOH in text, on social media, in memes, maybe on Reddit, but literally nowhere else. And so I want to know why this shows up in crosswords as much as it does.
I agree with you. I saw that too and was like, huh? I guess it has a good combo of letters, but yeah, I have never used that and I've never seen it done. I think I originally put in IMHO in my humble opinion, or in my honest opinion.
Right.
I've seen that before, but
right. I've seen people use that, but
OTO.
And also I think how many times in text does the opportunity to say OTOH come up?
Not the kinds of conversations we're having.
Yeah, no. You would just say but, Yeah.
But I feel like I have an idea what your second shite is.
Okay, I'm going to say it now. I'm sure Grace knows what it is. 57 down?
No, that's not the one I had.
Okay, this one, I don't think it's intended to be the meaning that I took it as, but... as we know in crosswords and in language in general, words have meanings, right?
They do?
They do. So 57 down is female grouses. Okay. And the answer is hens. A grouse is a bird, and a female grouse, I guess, is called a hen. My issue with this clue and the answer is that hen is a slangy, often derogatory word used to describe women. So then when you have the word female and grouses next to each other with the answer as hens, grouses is also like a word for complaint. Like a synonym would be complaining, or like, you know, having things to nitpick out. You're kind of grousing, nagging. You're grousing, like that's like the sound grousing would make. And so I think all three of those words next to each other really make for an unsettling and unpleasant solving experience, because let me just read you the least offensive Urban Dictionary definition for the word hens. Okay. If you want to know what the other, like, more, in my opinion, offensive versions, please go to Urban Dictionary and type hens in for yourself and read like the top two. It's just kind of like, I'm like, men are boring. Anyway, okay. So this is the least offensive definition for hens on Urban Dictionary. A group of women talking and laughing, which sounds very much like a gathering of hens. Similar sounds can be heard on the television show The View. You can hear those hens in the break room down the hall. What is so funny? The View is on again. Those cackling hens need a life.
Oh my gosh. Men like hate when women enjoy themselves for anything.
They do. And so I just think, and like, grouse is like I said, a bird, but it's also like to complain and to grumble.
I didn't know that. The second, I mean, I figured it was a bird based on the answer. I didn't realize that was the other meaning of growls.
Right.
So
dictionary.com. If you're looking for what dictionary.com defines hens as, informal, sometimes offensive, a usually middle-aged or older woman, especially one who is considered to be petty or gossipy.
Well, dictionary.com says it, then it's true.
So I'm just saying, like, you really don't want to put all three of those words in a clue and answer experience, in my personal opinion. You could have just said female birds. Like,
and why did you have day?
Why'd you have to use grouses? Huh?
Well, okay, this is what I thought you were going to say, because it reminded me of the OTOH thing. It was the one, and it was one across too, which is usually, that's like your start, you know, clue, because it's the first one you see. So it's all encompassing. This trips me up every time it comes in a crossword, because I'm like, what the heck is this word? Mm-hmm. And it's A to Z. But if you write that with no spaces, it looks like ATOZ. And
I hate it.
Yeah, that comes up a lot. And I'm always like mad when I finally realize what it is. I'm like, I should have known this because it's common.
When I was reviewing the crossword and I saw that the opener was ATOZ, I was like, what the hell is that? And then I read the clue, was like, oh, fuck, it's A to Z. Also in that puzzle, I believe there was one that was like US of A was an answer. And I don't know. I just think, like, we don't necessarily need those answers. I mean, sometimes you do, but when you put it all together, you got hens, you got ATOZ, you got A to Z, you got, or US of A, you got OTOH. I mean, like, this puzzle is not shining for me.
Well, I have a couple actually hits from the puzzle, so we're not shitting on it completely.
Yeah.
But I liked the theme answers to the puzzle. I thought they were kind of funny. 20 across, where one might find Boston news reporters, ?
This theme
around
was
the
really
globe.
Good. Yeah,
this
theme
like
was
the
really
Globe
good.
Reporter. 37 across, where a Baltimore news reader's desk might be found under the Sun, which is Baltimore newspaper. Beaten to a news scoop in Los Angeles, ? Behind the Times. I like that. I'm guessing that this constructor probably had those themed answers done and then filled in the rest of the, thought that was strong enough, I guess, and filled in the rest of the crossword with some other less savory clues. But yeah, it basically was a wash for me.
Yeah, it's fine. But that's how I wanted to start off the night with the shit, and then maybe we could get a little happier.
I have a very important hit.
Okay.
That I'm very happy about. This is from the Thursday New York Times, December 17th by Catherine Ladner. Now, if you've been listening just for a while, we're obsessed with cats, and we also are obsessed with the fact that cats is showing up more and more in crosswords, usually the USA Today crossword, thanks to Paolo Pasco.
And we're not talking about just like the animal. Like, of course we love animals.
Yeah,
and we love cats as an animal. But we're talking about Cats, the 2019 musical spectacular, okay? Starring Idris Elba.
Yes. And the actual Broadway musical as well. But anyways, we're obsessed with it. It's been showing up in crosswords, and I don't know. This is just me. I kind of think that we're partially responsible for this.
I refuse to believe that we're not, so.
Well, normally in the USA Today, I was very happy to see this clue in the New York Times.
Okay.
8 down. Rum blank tugger, parentheses, cat's cat.
Rum tum tugger, folks.
Yes.
If you don't know what that answer is, then you live under a rock, and not a very exciting rock.
Well, I kind of had a problem with them putting cat's cat in parentheses on a Thursday puzzle. Thursday's supposed to be a little more difficult. Like, we all know who Rum Tum Tugger is, okay? We've all commented on Jason Derulo's dance TikToks, telling him to stop being a coward and put on the Rum Tum Tugger costume.
And if you're not doing that, then are you really our friend?
Then you're not. We don't consider you a listener.
So.
But anyways, I was happy to see that. Always happy to see a cat's clue.
Always.
And then another one I liked from that Thursday puzzle was 18 across, items that are hard to throw away, ? Boomerangs. Got a little chuckle out of me.
We have a lot of laughs, okay? We have a lot of laughs. I did the Friday, December 11th New York Times, Ari Richter? I really liked 51 across, like some perfume ads. And the answer was like 15 letters, scratch and sniff.
Ooh, I like that.
Nice, right? Or 56 across, crack jokes, perhaps, ?
I don't know.
Potty humor.
Nice.
According to Grace, fart jokes or farts always get a laugh. That did get a laugh from me.
I liked the Tuesday New York Times by Adam Vincent. Shout out to Chelsea and I, 47 across. This is really only exciting for us. Plastic-like clogs. Crocs.
I didn't see that one in that puzzle.
It was on Wednesday, yeah.
Oh, you said it was Tuesday. You said it was the Adam Vincent puzzle, which we already talked about. So I was like, wait, what?
No, Wednesday.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad. Anyways, we love Crocs, and I'm sorry if you don't like it. Neither of us own a pair yet.
Just wait.
I already have my gibbets picked out and everything.
You have no idea. We're about to, take the world by storm.
Do you have any more hits and shits, or? This is so awkward now.
Yes, I'm going to get us back into the hits and shits.
Okay.
What else do I got here? I did the Monday, December 14th New Yorker by Anna Schechtman. The opener, speaking
you
of
did
really...
it with her?
I did it with her, we're best friends now, so... Actually, speaking of openers and them being powerful, I really liked the opener for this one. One across, soap making supplies, ? And the answer is TV cameras.
Oh, like a soap opera. That's cute.
Oh my god. Grace gave me the perfect reaction, and that's the reaction you want when you're filling in the first answer in a crossword. Just saying.
Yes, agreed.
Some other good ones from that puzzle. 48 across, big softy. The answer was gentle giant.
Cute.
Very cute. And then this one was just a trip down memory lane for anybody who is, I guess, 25 or older. 3 down, Starbucks stopped selling them in 2015. 3 letters.
I have no idea.
CDs.
Oh, I forgot that they used to do that.
How random, right? And I was like, wow, that was a trip down memory lane that I didn't know I actually wanted to have. I don't know if I actually wanted to have it, but it was good to remember, I guess.
Well, it was forced on you, so now you had it.
What about you? You got anything else?
No, that was it for me. Okay,
I have one more thing. Wednesday, December 16th, New Yorker by Elizabeth Gorski. This is really good. A really great puzzle. Would recommend doing it. Another incredible opener. One across, fault line, ? And the answer is, I'm to blame.
Yes. These people are so smart. Meanwhile,
they're so smart.
I'm over here cleaning up cat puke for free. Although, they might do that in their spare time, too. I don't know.
They might. If you do, let us know. Here's another good one. 42 across, non-speaking CSI roles.
Dead bodies.
Corpses.
Yes.
Or 61 across, extinguish feelings of excitement, say.
Wet blanket or something?
Nope. Take a cold shower.
Oh.
And then I really just liked the writing of this clue in particular. 18 down, shoes from his airness, casually. And the answer is Jordans.
Oh,
right?
Cute. I do like that one.
And if you're interested in learning more about Air Jordans, you can listen to episode 40, Shrek is a sneakerhead, because Shrek is in fact a sneakerhead, but you have to listen to the episode to find out why.
Exactly. I need to start doing the New Yorker more.
You do. And I need to stop doing the New York Times as much.
Yeah. You know what it is? The New York Times is a really good app.
They have a really good app.
The New Yorker app and the Washington Post app, I'm just going to say it. Well, the New Yorker app is even worse. They don't even have a section. It's complicated anyways. That's something we can bring up with them. But that is if the New Yorker app had a better app, like USA Today and New York Times, I think, have the best crosswording on like a
apps.
phone or iPad. So
Yeah.
everyone else, can you please get on there and
Right. And then
I
of
will
course
do
we
your
have like a
puzzles more often.
Crosslight, which is nice because you can like basically import any crossword into a Crosslight. But the Crosslight app is so different from the New York Times and USA Today apps that it's sometimes so stark and so challenging to actually use the app.
Yeah, I only use that for the indie, like the
Right.
AV club ones and stuff.
Well,
But-
now we're just grousing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're such hens.
We're such hens.
Should we flip our coin?
Oh my God. These two hens are about to flip one coin.
Nice.
Thank you. I'm flipping the coin now. Tails.
Me again, baby. Let's do it. My clue is from the USA Today crossword on December 16th by Zausheen Bernickel. And it is 3 down. A British competitive eater took down 141 of them in 5 minutes in 2020.
Hot dogs.
The answer was Oreos, of course. That's a very... No, my topic is not Oreos.
Oh, God, I thought we were going to do Oreos finally.
I don't know what more I can say about Oreos. It hasn't already been said. But if you don't know, Oreos is crosswordese. Almost anytime there's a cookie clue, it's probably Oreos. But I liked this clue because you don't usually see that. I didn't know. And 141 is a lot of Oreos to eat in 5 minutes. I am
A lot.
thoroughly impressed.
Are you doing competitive eating?
I am doing competitive eating. That is my topic.
Oh my God. Okay.
And mostly about hot dogs, as you mentioned, and mostly about competitive eating in the United States. But, well, we'll just get into it. All right.
Let's get into
First,
it.
I want to know, how many hot dogs have you guzzled down your throat in one sitting?
Probably 2 or
Same.
3. 3 at most, like at the absolute most.
3 if maybe I had a break after the second one. But not even then.
2
yeah,
is standard.
2. Mm-hmm.
Standard.
Agreed. All right. Well, hot dog eating contests have become like the pinnacle of competitive eating, and they first came onto the scene in 1916. However, competitive eating goes back even further than that. So, one of the earliest examples of competitive eating is traced all the way back to the Nordic gods Thor and Loki.
Typical.
Shout out to Marvel, even though they aren't brothers in the Nordic god.
Aren't they like half
Mythology.
brothers?
I don't know that much.
I believe they're
all I
half
read
brothers.
is
It's
that they
like
aren't.
Odin is their dad. But
Aren't they all brothers? They're all related. I don't
If
know.
you know,
Actually, do
let
not
us
listen to
know.
me at all. Because, yeah. Basically, I'm just going to tell you about this one story where they competitively eat. So, the story is found in Prose Edda, which is a compilation of myths from the 13th century Iceland, which is a very long time ago. So, the legend has it, Thor, Loki, and their other travel companion, Thialfi, arrive at the giant king Utgard Loki's equally giant palace. Utgard challenges each visitor to a competition, as giant kings are wont to do. And
They are
that is why
wont.
I don't go to palaces, because I'm
true.
not doing any competitions.
She refuses, absolutely.
So their friend, Thialfi, picks athletics, but he ends up losing a foot race. Thor
Go
is
figure.
challenged to 3 events, failing at each one. And to be fair, the final test was impossible. He never was going to be able to overcome it, because he had to drink the contents of a horn that was anchored into the sea. So, impossible.
Makes no sense.
But then we have Loki, who's kind of a troublemaker, right? He decided to make his own competition. He claimed that he could eat faster than anyone. Utgard takes him up on the challenge and sets him up against Logi. So Loki and Logi sit at opposite sides of the table with a wooden plate full of meat in the middle. They both start chowing down, and eventually they meet up in the middle of the table. Loki has eaten all of his meat, but Logi had not only eaten the meat, but also the bones and the wooden plates as well. So Logi is declared the winner, and that's the end of that story. Now, Logi means fire in Old Norse, so the Nordic gods learned the hard way that fire is the most voracious of all the elements, right? So yeah, the story was mostly a lesson on like humility and strength and fire and all that stuff. But for the purpose of this episode, it was the first recorded eating contest in history.
Okay, I'm loving this. I'm loving it.
So now we're going to jump forward in time a little bit to the 17th century. We had a man named nicknamed the Great Eater of Kent. His name was Nicholas Wood.
Okay.
So this was in England. Wood's talent was discovered by English poet John Taylor, who saw him eat 60 eggs, a lamb shank, and multiple pies in one sitting. So
Hungry
Taylor
boy.
Taylor the poet started writing about Wood and created quite the stir. Wood began to do tours of local fairs where he'd eat huge meals for the entertainment of others. He even began to challenge people to outdo him in eating. And the poet Taylor became his, like, manager.
Okay.
Basically trying to make money off him. So some of his greatest feats were eating 7 dozen rabbits in one sitting, or an entire dinner feast intended for 8 people. But sometimes the food won, okay? A man named John Dale bet that he could sate Wood's appetite for just 2 shillings. Wood took him up on the bet, and Dale fed him 12 loaves of bread that he had soaked in a strong ale. So, if the bloating by the bread doesn't cause him to, like, keel over, it was the amount of ale that he drank. He got so drunk that he passed out.
Right.
And he lost.
And also that will, when you eat starch and then you drink anything afterwards, you're going to start bloating even worse.
Yes. No, this man was truly an anomaly at this time. I mean, that would take anyone out. But the fact that he could even eat, like, any of that is
wild.
Impressive, yeah.
I mean, he must have been happy to finally get, like a free meal. You know, he probably was like, this is great.
I don't know. I mean, well...
Does he die?
No, well, he does eventually die, obviously.
Oh, you mean he's not still alive today? Okay, sorry.
No, he doesn't die from eating, so that he's kind of like, he disappeared mysteriously. So basically, the poet Taylor wanted Wood to come to London to put on big shows, i.e. make the poet a lot of money by being in, like, these, you know, sideshow fairs and stuff. Mm-hmm. And the pamphlet that Taylor put together to advertise the show was called, quote, The Great Eater of Kent, or part of the admirable teeth and stomach exploits of Nicholas Wood of Harrison in the county of Kent, his excessive manner of eating without manners in strange and true manner described. So, he obviously was a long-winded poet, but that was the name of his pamphlet.
I was going to say, that's not necessarily the best marketing, but hey, maybe if I wasn't busy that day, I'd go check it out.
Well, sadly, or maybe for the best, Wood never made it to London as he lost all his teeth from eating an entire mutton shoulder, bones and all.
Oh, no.
So he eventually retired, did not go to London, and then kind of, you know, lived his life quietly.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
All right, so Wood's retirement was kind of the end of competitive eating for a while, because remember at this time, like, food preservation, storage wasn't great, and they didn't really have, like, a ton of food to waste. Mm-hmm. But all that changed in the 19th century thanks to the Industrial Revolution.
Thank you, Industrial Revolution.
Thanks. So better farming methods, refrigeration, and canning made food much more plentiful. But people were still bored, so farmers would hold food eating competitions as entertainment, and many of these contests focused on local crops such as corn, watermelon, or apples, but one food rose above them all, and it's not hot dogs. Do you know what it is?
No.
Pie.
Oh, duh.
Yes. Yeah. So by the turn of the century, pie eating contests were a symbol of Americana. In World War I, American soldiers would have pie eating contests as a way to boost morale and probably make some, like, side hustle betting money.
Sure.
Even though, according to the National Defense Act, competitions like this were considered illegal in the Army, they let it slide because it was just so gosh darn American.
It was so much fun. Like, you've literally never seen something more fun than a pie eating contest, and that's a fact.
Exactly. But in the 1900s, some other foods started to hit the scene. The biggest one being the hot dog.
I just can't. I'm just imagining a slimy hot dog just sliding down my throat.
All right. Now, many people claim to have invented the hot dog, and by that I mean putting the German sausage into buns.
Okay.
And we don't know who, but one of these people was German immigrant and Coney Island resident Charles Feltman. So in 1867, Feltman was selling pies out of a wagon. Basically, at this time, you could either only eat pies or hot dogs. That's it.
Right.
So legend has it, that same year, 1867, looking to diversify his inventory, Feltman put a German Frankfurter on a roll to give around, having to give customers plates and forks and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Genius.
Smarty pants.
Yes, hot dog business was booming. In 4 years, he had enough money to lease a plot of land on Coney Island that eventually housed a small empire, including restaurants, bars, beer gardens, a hotel, an outdoor movie theater, a carousel, and a roller coaster. That probably sounds a lot more like the Coney Island you know and love today. All thanks.
You know I love it.
To hot dogs.
Thank you, hot dogs.
In 1916, one of Feltman's employees, Nathan Hardworker, that's really his last name, but it's W-E-R-K.
You were calling him a hard worker.
No. W-E-R-K-E-R. Hard worker. He was challenged to start his own business, and he did. Okay. That's the legend. Like, 2 of his coworkers challenged him to start his own business, and he was like, all right, bet. So he decided to open up a hot dog stand on Coney Island, and he used a special garlic recipe invented by his wife to spice up his hot dogs, and he soon began outselling Feltman himself.
Oh,
but it wasn't only the special taste of the hot dogs, it was Nathan's knack at marketing and promotion.
Nathan's hot dogs. It just clicked. It just clicked, folks.
That boosted his sales. So, on July 4th, 1916, the same year that Nathan first started his business, he held a competition that were similar to sideshows that were held on the island already. And legend has it, I don't think that this is true, but legend has it that 4 immigrant men competed in the very first Nathan's hot dog eating contest at noon on Independence Day to prove who was most patriotic. I just don't think it was 4 immigrant men to prove who was most patriotic, but there was a hot dog contest at noon on July 4th. They were given 12 minutes to eat as many hot dogs and buns as they could. And this is the same format that is used today.
Okay.
So Nathan's tradition continued throughout the years as competitive eating spread around the country. One of the weirdest competitive eating competitions took place on 1919 between Ping Bodie, a New York Yankee outfielder, and Percy, an ostrich with a large appetite. Yeah. Can you guess what state this happened in?
New Jersey.
Florida. Jacksonville, Florida, to be exact. So the zoo where Percy lived touted him as being the world's biggest eater. And Jacksonville happened to be home to spring training for baseball. So it was only natural that Bodie, the baseball player, and Percy enter a food eating contest. And the human was allowed to pick the food. And obviously, I guess I don't know how the ostrich would pick. And he chose spaghetti. Yeah. So Bodie, the human, ended up winning after Percy passed out during his 11th bowl of spaghetti.
That could not have been good for Percy.
No, it wasn't. Some stories claim that Percy died, but I couldn't find concrete evidence on what happened to Percy, and I wasn't about to go down a rabbit hole for this ostrich because...
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's someone else's fight. I don't know. Definitely not right, though, because there's some animals that won't stop eating.
Yeah.
They would eat themselves to death. Horses are some of them. Like, horses will eat hay until they die. So, I don't know if that's the same thing about ostriches, but... Anyways, the sport eventually became too watered down. No pun intended if you've ever seen a hot dog eating contest.
You're so funny and so smart.
But basically restaurants, fast food places, they all started hosting these competitive eating contests as PR stunts, and people started to lose interest. That was until 1997. Enter brothers George and Rich Shea, who worked at the PR firm that had Nathan's hot dog account.
Okay.
They created the International Federation of Competitive Eating, kind of as a joke, but they realized that people were actually interested in this type of regulation. So they expanded beyond hot dogs to fries, crab cakes, asparagus, cheesesteaks, buffalo wings, sweet corn, oysters, pepperoni rolls. They worked with Buffalo Wild Wings. They do their wing contest. Mm-hmm. And then they changed their name to Major League Eating. And today they oversee 80 to 100 competitions a year. And the competition is very serious, okay? The competitors take this seriously. This is their job. They train for it.
This is making me feel sick.
Yeah. Nathan's is just what I'm calling the Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Got it.
Nathan's draws thousands to Coney Island, and it's aired on ESPN to millions of viewers, and the first place prize is $10,000.
That's it? Sorry, I need more.
Yeah. Well, I think that they do multiple, you kind of go around and do them.
Got it.
Same way people compete in marathons. And I just have to say, if you're running a marathon and you're not competing for money.
Why are you running a marathon?
I don't understand. I don't understand, but.
Hey, to each their own, I guess. Especially if your own is fucking weird. We love you, marathon runners.
So you may know the name Takeru Kobayashi.
I don't know that name,
familiar?
Actually. No, I'm not really into competitive eating, but...
I'm not either, but I have seen this guy on the Today Show.
You're from Florida, so...
Well, okay, but this takes place in New York. Anyways, Kobayashi came from Japan, which also has a big competitive eating culture. Okay. And he came to do Nathan's hot dog contest, and he dominated the competition for 6 years in a row. The first time he competed, the record was 25 and a half hot dogs, and he ate 50. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Shock. So he developed an odd but effective technique of dipping the hot dog bun into water to break down the starch squeezing out the excess moisture, and then eating the bun balls separately from the wieners. And I'm sorry for that sentence. But that's what he does. So yeah, if you ever watch, that's why I made the joke about it got watered down, because if you watch a hot dog eating contest, they dip it into the water to make it easier to eat. So he is actually credited as making the competition as big as it is today. Okay, ESPN didn't start airing until 2003, which was Kobayashi's third competition.
Damn.
So he's like really the one who made it into as big of a thing as it is now in the US.
Okay, good for him.
Yeah. And by the way, if you look this guy up, he has a 6-pack. Like, these competitive eaters, they are athletes. Like, they train for this. He says he stretches his stomach with water to like lead up to, doing it. Yeah. Anyways.
Oh my God. I don't even want to know. I mean, I do. Tell me more, but like, God.
Okay. So in 2011, Sonia, the Black Widow, Thomas, aka the leader of the 4 horsemen of the esophagus.
And we actually did a topic on the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. But that is incredible. What an
amazing nickname. Yeah. She won the first women's division of Nathan's competition. And yes, the prize for these things is a pink Pepto-Bismol belt, because Pepto-Bismol is one of the sponsors for these competitions, which
you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. She ate 40 hot dogs.
All right. Oh my
God. Yeah. So compared to, the record that Kobayashi broke was 25 and a half, and she came in and she ate 40. And by the way, she is also tiny. Okay. She's like 5'1", 100 pounds. She's but extremely strong. And her training regimen is fascinating. She eats like 1 meal a day. She eats super healthy. And she works out a ton. It's just crazy. She eats 1 huge meal a day. I should say that. But I don't know. It's probably something with like eating, she has to get used to eating a huge amount in one sitting.
Oh my God.
All right, but the new guy on the scene to beat is Joey Chestnut. And I don't know if that's his real name, and he looks like whatever you're imagining, that's probably what he looks like. Okay. He has won 7 Nathan's contests in a row. But to be fair, he only had to beat Kobayashi twice.
Wow.
Sadly, Kobayashi is banned from any major league eating events, as he wouldn't sign a contract with them that gives them a cut of endorsement money.
Dude, don't blame him at all.
No, I don't. He actually showed up to a competition in 2010 as a spectator, and the audience saw him there and they started chanting his name, which spurred him to jump on stage in hopes that they would let him compete in the competition. But instead, they arrested him. Yes.
Everything is about money, folks. Mm-hmm. Don't think it's not. Follow the money and see what they're doing to poor people that just want to compete in hot dog eating contests, okay? Not
only that, but he is the man who put competitive eating
on the map.
Yeah, in the US. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so, no. Am I about to be a Kobayashi fucking advocate for the rest of my goddamn life?
I couldn't figure out exactly what he's doing now. I mean, maybe he's made a lot of money off of this. I think he still competes in non-major league eating events, and he has gotten work in multiple commercials. I saw he recently did an interview. He weighed in. Do you remember when a couple of years ago when people were saying, debating on whether a hot dog was a sandwich?
I do.
On Twitter. He made his official weigh-in, and he said that a hot dog is not a sandwich. He's like, you have to just respect hot dogs for what they are. So
okay, all right.
And I think
heard it here first,
yeah,
or maybe
second. He's the person. He's probably eaten more hot dogs than anyone other than Joey Chestnut. Okay, but I think he's doing okay. I don't know. I hope he is. I hope he was able to make a lot of money in his run.
Yeah.
But his whole thing is very interesting because he basically came in and changed the game. And I'm going to end with a quote from the Mashed article, The Untold Truth of Kobayashi by Brent Furtick. Sorry.
She's 12 years old.
It's just these people's last names. I think I copy and pasted that. Sometimes I hope I didn't write it wrong in my notes. Anyways, by Brent. and the quote is, Kobayashi's technique was a game changer. He redefined the problem he was attempting to solve. Rather than tackle the obvious question, how to eat more hot dogs, he looked for solutions to a different problem, how to make hot dogs easier to eat. And I think that's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And you should use that in your day-to-day life.
Exactly. Sometimes the problem that you're trying to solve, you just have to look at it from a different angle.
You really do.
Kobayashi. And then get kicked out of the exact league that you ended up, making famous in the first place.
Yeah. So. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Anyways, well, he is from Japan, so I assume that he's still able to do contests in Japan and stuff. I don't know. Now
Or
I'm like
probably
worried about
anywhere
him,
else in the
but
world.
yeah.
I know, I'm worried about him too. If anybody knows what's going on with him, let us know. We want to do a wellness check.
Yeah. But yeah, that's competitive eating for you.
Well, I feel nauseous, but because I can't imagine just consuming that much food in one sitting. It's freaking me out.
I could never be a competitive eater. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. They said in the beginning it was more like, you know, big guys like competing to see how much they could eat. And then now it's like truly like, you know, a sport. And these people are training, and most of them, there are still some like bigger people, but most of them look like extremely athletic, like really muscular and fit. And, you know, that's part of their thing. They have to have a lot of stamina, and it's mental. It's all in your head.
It's all in your head, folks. Okay,
Mind over matter.
Get out of your head, and you can eat like 60 hot dogs. Facts.
True. But yeah,
right.
that's that on that.
Write in and tell us how many hot dogs you eat every day.
You're a daily hot dog. It's good for you.
We're doing a complete about face, folks. We're talking about anti hot dog eating contests for my topic. No, I'm kidding. My topic comes from the Monday New York Times from December 14th. Did I write who did this one? I did not. Grace, do you happen to know who did the Monday New York Times December 14th puzzle?
Not off the top of my head, but I could tell you shortly.
Shortly.
It was Jesse Bullock, and Ross Trudeau.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Or folks, whatever. 16 across. Game with Mrs. White and Professor Plum.
Clue!
The answer is Clue.
I was gonna do that one of these weeks because I've seen it before. Yay, I'm excited.
I thought we might have the same topic this time, especially because I know we do a lot of Ross Trudeau puzzles, but I'm glad that it wasn't. Shall we get into it?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, do you like the game Clue, and have you played it before?
You know that it is one of the only board games I will agree to play with people.
Okay, that's what I thought, because the last time I did a board game topic, which was Monopoly, however many episodes ago, Grace was like, I don't play Monopoly. And that was astounding to me, because Monopoly is like the game that you play with my family. In fact, we had to introduce my boyfriend to Monopoly and my brother's girlfriend to Monopoly, and they both think we're psychotic. Well, because we are, but, you know.
No, I'm sorry, it takes too long. I only play Life and Clue, okay? Do not invite me if it's not those games.
Monopoly
and even
takes
then,
too
Life,
long.
Sometimes. Clue, every time, I'll play Clue.
Doing this topic made me really, really want to play Clue. Really bad. Do you own Clue? Because if not, I'll buy it, and like next time we see each other, we'll play it.
I don't. My parents do.
Well, steal it from them. They're not using it. They're too busy grandparenting.
That is true, yes.
I mean, unless they're playing it with the children. But anyway, let's get into Clue, right? So Clue, if you don't know, I'm sorry, then you definitely live under a rock, and a boring rock at that. It is a murder mystery board game, okay? It actually originated in England, and the original name for the game is Cluedo, spelled Cluedo. And the game was created in 1943. It's made for 3 to 6 players typically, and it was invented by a guy named Anthony E. Pratt. And the object of the game is basically to solve a murder by determining who the murderer is, where the murder took place, and what weapon was used to commit the murder. Okay? Let's talk about Anthony E. Pratt, the inventor of the game Clue/Cluedo. Let's do it. He was born in Balsall Heath, Birmingham, England. You know, Birmingham.
Yes.
Which is an inside joke for me and Grace there. Pratt was a gifted musician, specifically a pianist. He worked in chemistry for a while, like doing chemistry stuff because he liked that. But eventually he went on to pursue a music career, playing piano recitals at hotels and on cruise ships.
Okay.
So, kind of random, right?
Yeah,
but not
Jack
really.
of all trades, master of none.
Master of none, right. Master of Cluedo. So, during World War II, he worked in a factory in Birmingham, making parts for tanks. But he still played piano when and where he could. Why does this piano bit keep coming up?
I don't know.
I'll tell you why. So, Pratt spent a lot of time in country hotels, which were basically these massive houses out in the country in England that were converted to hotels, and people would like go there and like vacation there and like stay there, okay? He would usually play the piano there for the various guests staying at the country hotel. Another popular evening activity for these people and for these places were murder mystery games. I mean, honestly, if you had to play a murder mystery game, I think like a mansion or an estate out in like the countryside of England is like the perfect place to do it.
That is my dream. If anyone has one of those, invite me. I will show up. Not during not during the pandemic, but after.
Right. It's got such a mood and such a vibe, right? Mm-hmm. So these murder mystery games included actors and hotel guests. They would play the characters within the story that involved like a murder of one of the guests. And then everyone would kind of come together, go through all the different rooms of the house and try to solve the murder, which is kind of cool. So the night would start off with dinner, socializing, and then somebody turned up to murder. Dun, dun, dun. And then, yes, so the guests worked together, they put the clues together, and they solved the crime. These games were super popular at the time, and Pratt was also a huge fan of, like, mystery novels, like by Agatha Christie, for instance. And so the idea for Clue/Cluedo was born.
Beautiful.
Pratt and his wife Elva initially called their version of the game Murder! ! And Elva, his wife, designed like the first like board and like packaging, which is kind of cool. He filed the patent for the game in December of 1944, and then he had a good friend named Geoffrey Bull, and Geoffrey Bull actually invented a different board game called Buccaneer, which if you're in England, maybe that's something you used to play. I don't think they make it anymore. Anyway, so this guy, Geoffrey Bull, introduced Pratt to Norman Watson, and Norman Watson was the managing director of for board games at Waddington's, who was the UK publisher of Monopoly, which we talked about in episode 54, Capitalism and Puberty, so check it out if you want to learn more about board games. So Waddington's, this board game publisher, loved the game and decided to manufacture and distribute it. Parker Bros actually distributed the game in the US, so Parker Brothers had the U.S. distribution rights, which is kind of cool. Okay. So, Waddington's renamed the game Cluedo, which is a combination of the word clue and the word ludo. Ludo is Latin for I play.
Oh. Do people in England know that? Maybe they're smarter
I think
than
so.
us.
I think they use the word...
Not smarter. They have better vocabulary.
They have better vocabulary, and the 40s were just a different place. Or different time. That's
true.
Okay.
But it's probably a good bet, though, to change it from murder. Because if it's for kids, you know what I mean? Right. Parents might be like, I'm not buying a murder game for my kids. I'll buy a game where murder happens, but at least name it Cluedo.
Exactly. Have you ever played the game Parcheesi?
I think so.
Parcheesi is like a sort of like sorry, sort of.
Yeah. Sorry? Well, what?
Sorry, can't hear you. Apparently, the Brits, especially in the 40s, correct me if I'm wrong, any Brits out there, they called Parcheesi Ludo, so it was normal. It wasn't like strange to like include that in the Clue title.
Got it. All right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I read that somewhere. Okay, so they renamed it Cluedo, blah, blah, blah. Side note, Hasbro eventually bought Waddington's in 1994, and they still manufacture Clue to this day.
Makes sense.
Cluedo, the board game, went into production in 1949. So that's when the first Clue was printed, 1949, folks. Let's talk about the game. I'm going to talk about like the traditional game unless like otherwise specified. So what you would usually play, like if you pulled out your mom and dad's Clue board and put it on your table, this is what I'm talking about. The game is played on a square game board that shows rooms, hallways, secret passages of a large country house. In certain versions of the game, the house has a name. So maybe Tudor Mansion, Tudor Close, Tudor Hall, Arlington Grange, Body Manor, or Body Mansion. Within the story of the game, it's set in 1926 in Hampshire, England. So that's like, if you're trying to like get into the mood, you know, like, okay, let me just get my 1926 Hampshire English like clothing on and like let's play Cluedo, right? You can play as one of 6 characters. Originally, though, Pratt designed the game to have 10 characters. Mr. Brown, Mr. Gold, Miss Gray, and Mrs. Silver were eliminated from the version that went to production.
Cut. That's too many people.
Bye, bye, bye. Bye, 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 bye. So I'm going to talk about each of the characters. The red character, Miss Scarlet.
Yes.
She is the femme fatale, young, cunning, and attractive. Miss Scarlet always rolls first, which I didn't realize, like, that is like something that was happens.
A rule. I feel like I knew that. And then it goes, like, clockwise from her or something.
Actually, each of the characters has a turn, like a planned roll, like sequence, which I think is interesting. I've never played that way. Just like I change all the rules of Monopoly to fit my house rules. It is what it is. So that brings us to Yellow, Colonel Mustard, or as I called him as a child, Colonel Mustard.
Same.
He is a hunter and a colonial imperialist. Wow, that's fun. And he rolls second. Then you have the white pawn, that is Mrs. White. She is a frazzled servant who worked as Mr. Body's cook, housekeeper, and nanny to Mr. Body's nephew. And Mrs. White rolls third. Then we have the green pawn, who in the UK is known as Reverend Green, but in America is Mr. Green. So in the UK version, he was a hypocritical Anglican priest who wavers when the subject is murder. I think that's funny.
So specific.
It's very specific. But in North America, Mr. Green was a money-oriented mobster or businessman, okay? Parker Brothers insisted on the name change because they didn't think the American public would like a parson as a murder subject.
Probably true. I mean, we complain about everything, so.
We do. So I kind of like having like a corrupt priest as like one of the characters because it seems realistic to me. Anyway, Reverend Green rolls fourth. That brings me to blue, who is Mrs. Peacock. Mrs. Peacock is a grande dame and an elderly yet attractive woman who nearly always maintains her dignity. And she rolls fifth. Then we have purple, who is Professor Plum, a quick-witted, young or middle-aged professor who rolls sixth. The murder victim is a stock character, and they're either given the name Dr. Black in the UK or Mr. Body in North America. And then there are some other characters from other contemporary versions of the game, and I want to read off some of them for you. This is not a conclusive list. This is the ones I wanted to include here. So if you're buying like some of these like spin-offs or like new updated versions of Clue, you might see some of these characters.
Wait, before we get into that, can I just say like, I mean, why do these characters have all these backstories? When you play the game, they're just like a little colored pawn, and they have no...
I think there is a backstory on like the rule book.
Yeah, but when it doesn't affect gameplay.
It doesn't, but it gets you in the mood.
True. I also want to know who your piece was when you were little.
Miss Scarlet.
I was always Miss Peacock, because I like blue.
Yeah. Or I like Mrs. White, too, actually.
Yeah. Although, even though I didn't like Miss Peacock in the movie, are you going to talk about the movie?
Very little bit, but you can talk about it more. Like, I know you know more about the movie. I thought that you have more to say, but I have some facts about the movie.
All right.
Okay. So, some other characters you might get to play. Miss Peach, who is a Southern belle. You have Monsieur Brunette, who is a con artist. Madame Rose is a fortune teller. Then you have Sergeant Gray, is a corrupt police sergeant. I kind of love that. I mean, I don't like that he's corrupt, but I like that it's realistic. Then we have Captain Robert Brown, is a lower-class drunk seaman. Very nice. And then, did you know that in 2016, Hasbro released a new version of Clue with a character, Dr. Orchid, who replaced Mrs. White. So Dr. Orchid is a middle-aged woman who's pink. The color is pink. And she is a scientist studying plant toxicology. And within like the game story, she is Mr. Body's adopted daughter.
All right. Well, I think we need more female representation in STEM, so I'm happy with that.
I love that, right? And I love that her color's pink, but she's also a doctor, and she's, like, badass. So, there's cool. And, of course, like I said, there are more, and you could research them. And, like, there's actually a whole Wikipedia article with, like, all the Clue characters that you could possibly play as. It's kind of interesting. So that takes me to the murder weapons. So what could any of these murderers kill Mr. Body with? The traditional ones, murder weapons, are candlestick, dagger, or knife, lead pipe, revolver, rope, or wrench. There are some murder weapons that were like included in the original like patented version by Pratt that did not make it into the published version, and they are a bomb, a syringe, a shilla, which is like an Irish walking stick, a fireplace poker, an axe, and poison.
Poison would have been cute. I mean, like, I'm thinking of the little, the figurines that they made.
Yeah, I think so. Imagine a bomb.
That's
no.
Too soon.
Yeah, it's too soon. So that brings us to the rooms. There was originally supposed to be 11 rooms instead of 9. The eliminated rooms were the gun room and the cellar. The rooms that made it, the kitchen, ballroom, conservatory, billiard, library, study, hall, lounge, dining room, and like the stairs, which is where the envelope is kept. And basically, like, you go from room to room as your character, and you try to prove who killed Mr. Body with what weapon in which room. And if you don't know how to play Clue, then...
It's kind of hard to explain.
It's kind of hard to explain, but you can just YouTube it, and it's really easy.
Yeah. It's like process of elimination, basically.
Exactly.
As you go.
Exactly. There's cards involved, just like a thing. It's super easy, but it's a lot of fun. And every game is different, especially when you're playing with a bunch of different people. So that brings me to a kind of a folk card game that people liken Clue to. And some people have said that Clue was stolen from this card game, but it's likely not true. They're similar enough, but it was kind of like, how would Pratt have known about this game?
Yeah, well, I also think in general, like murder mystery is kind of very vague and like a well-known game.
Right. And all of it is about like deduction and process of elimination. So you can't really like put a patent on that necessarily.
Yeah.
So
trust me, I've tried.
She has. Trust me. And I've told her to stop and she won't. So that brings me to this game. The game is called The King of Hearts Has Five Sons. It is a American folk card game. And like I said, it's likely that they are unrelated, but they're very similar. So it's for 4 or 5 players. So if you don't actually have Clue, a board game, you can play this game. It's so similar, and I think it would be just as fun. There's 12 court cards, 4 jacks, 4 queens, and 4 kings, and 10 heart cards from ace to 10. The court cards are shuffled, and one is placed face down in the middle of the table. Then the heart cards are shuffled, and one is placed down in the middle of the table. Then you take both of those decks, shuffle them all together, and deal them out to the players. Then, through questioning and deduction, you have to figure out which of the 2 cards are laying in the center of the table. So suppose I want to figure out if my neighbor, Grace, has the Queen of Spades and the 3 of Hearts. I would say, the Queen of Spades has 3 sons. If you have both of those cards, you have to show me at least one. Well, you have to show me one. If you have one of those cards, you have to show me that one. If you have none of those cards, then you turn to your neighbor and you repeat the question. And basically, you keep going until you think you know the answer, and then you say it. And if you're wrong, you're out. If you're right, you win the game.
That is basically how Clue works, kind of.
It is exactly how Clue works. So if you want to play Clue, but you don't have the board game, play, what's it called? The King of Hearts Has 5 Sons. Go on the Wikipedia page. The rules are there. Have a lot of fun and be safe, kids. No drinking and driving.
Just a nice, wholesome Friday night with your best pals.
But it's for 4 to 5 players, so you can't play it with your mirror.
Okay, I'll just play solitaire then.
More Clue facts for you. Clue was inducted into the Toy Hall of Fame in 2017.
Bless
up. You can buy many different themed clues. There's an Alfred Hitchcock clue. There's a Scooby-Doo clue, a Big Bang Theory clue, though who the heck is buying that one? Yeah, really. And then, this is fun. In 2008, Hasbro released a version where the murder takes place at a celebrity party, okay? And the rooms include a spa and a theater. The characters got revised a little bit. Colonel Mustard becomes, instead of being a military man, he's a football hero. Professor Plum becomes like a .com billionaire. Some weapons disappeared and were replaced with like a trophy, an axe, and a baseball bat. Okay.
I'm into it.
So that's kind of fun, right? And Clue has basically become a franchise now. You know, like there are innumerable spin-offs of Clue. We're talking VCR games, card games, travel size games, Junior Clue, a Super Sleuth Clue for advanced players. Grace, we should play that one.
Yes, we should.
DVD games, an in-person party game. You can actually buy like an in-person murder mystery Clue game, which I would die to play. We could buy that and host it. Exactly. So if you have a mansion, let us know. We'll rent it from you for free, of course. And we'll have a lot of fun. What else they got? Computer games, video games, and then, of course, there's like one of my personal faves that I have not played, but I really want to play. There is a Hangover version where your goal is to locate Mr. Body after a night of partying in Las Vegas or whatever. I think that's kind of funny. So if you're like more interested in drinking instead of murder, you can play that version.
All right.
Yeah. There was a film that came out in 1985, which if you don't know, again, you live under a rock. I had never seen it.
Tisk. I forced her to watch it in the beginning of quarantine.
She finally forced me to watch it. It was amazing. It was so much fun.
It's a classic.
Would recommend. It's a classic. It actually did not do well when it came out. And because of its kind of cult following after the fact, through like video rentals and stuff like that, it basically made a huge resurgence. People love it now.
It's free on Amazon Prime.
Definitely check it out. Seriously, if you want something fun to watch, do it. It stars Eileen Brennan, Tim Curry, Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean, Martin Mull, and Leslie Ann Warren. at the time of its release, they boasted that like there was 4 different endings or something like that. And so depending on like which theater you went to, you got to see a different ending. And so it was kind of like a gimmick to try and get you to see all the endings or whatever.
But I think people didn't like it because of that, because some of the endings are kind of unsatisfying.
Right. They are. But then if you watch the version on line, you get all of them.
Or that was on VHS.
Right.
That my sister and I used to rent from Blockbuster all the time. Yeah. It's very cute.
So what is your favorite part of the Clue movie? Why do you like it so much?
Well, I think it holds up well over time. It's very funny. And my sister and I used to watch it as kids. So, like, it's fun for the whole family. And it's, like, you know, very good ambiance. But I feel like it's a very interesting movie because the director, I forget his name, but he directs plays. And I think that's kind of reflected in how the movie feels. There's a lot of really long, or what are they called, like continuous shots,
right,
where it's going from like room to room, and it's just insane to watch it. And a lot of that is similar to like what it would be like if you're watching a play. So
right, and the comedy is so good, the acting is hilarious, like it's really top notch.
Love Tim Curry, my Dr. Frankenfurter,
and
Mr. Body, and Nigel Thornberry. The trifecta.
So since you love Clue, the 1980s version, so much, you must be really excited for the Clue movie remake, fronted by Ryan Reynolds. Yay.
Oh. Well, I don't mind Ryan Reynolds.
I don't mind him either. I don't know how well this is going to go. The director is a guy named James Bodin, who directed Alice Through the Looking Glass with Johnny Depp, and then also the Muppets movie, and then also that new Dora the Explorer movie. So.
Oh. Well, the Dora the Explorer movie I've heard is kind of, like, campy. So, and I feel like Clue is kind of campy, so maybe he's good for that.
Maybe.
I'd watch it.
I mean, Ryan Reynolds, it'll probably be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another famous spinoff.
I like, what's his movie? Dead Mouse? No.
Oh,
Dead Mouse.
Dead
the DJ.
Deadpool.
Yeah.
Deadpool.
Oh, God.
Guys, I'm sorry for her. Dead Mouse.
Sorry, it's been a long week.
It's been a long week for both of us. You'll have to not you. Yes, listeners, you have to apologize to us. Okay?
In writing, okay?
Thank you. Love you. Another Clue spinoff. Maybe if you were like an adult in the 90s in England, you saw this.
I wasn't.
You weren't? Oh, damn it. Okay. No. Well, there was a British game show called Cluedo, based off of the board game. Okay. So each week there would be a reenactment of a murder at a stately home. And then the guests were played by like a bunch of like famous British actors, and they would solve the murder or something like that. I tried to see who was famous on the show. It ran from 1990 to 1993. And I, to be completely honest with you, have no fucking clue who any of these actors are. The only person I thought was vaguely familiar was this woman named Pam Ferris. So I looked her up, and she apparently played Aunt Marge in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So that's the only person that I knew from the celebrity list.
Hey, that's one person.
It is. I want to end by talking about Anthony E. Pratt, the inventor of Clue, and like what happened to him. Like, did he make money off of Clue? Like, how did he go? He got this great deal, and it became the second most famous game, I think, in Western culture. Right? You know, you have Monopoly and Clue are like some of the 2 most famous games. So, after Pratt sold the game, and after World War II happened, he became a British civil servant. And then in 1953, Waddington's, the company that, signed the deal with him to make the board game, told him that his game was really doing poorly in the overseas market. And so they were like, basically, you should let us buy you out. And they paid him £5,000 at the time, which would be 100,000 pounds today, for the overseas publication rights. And Pratt basically just had a daughter, so he was like, okay, let me take the money. Great. So him and his wife bought a tobacco shop, a sweet shop, and they opened it and ran it. Everything was going great. He had no idea that the game exploded in the United States.
That's not a lot of money for how successful the game is.
Right. And so basically, because of the deal, he didn't really make any money from the board game and didn't really know how successful it had become. And in 1990, 4 years before his death, he gave an interview in which he expressed no bitterness over missing out on the fortune. Quote, "A great deal of fun went into it," he said, "so why grumble?"
Couldn't be me.
That is a very British sentiment, if you ask me.
The same thing as a woman who invented Monopoly.
Yeah, I think she was a little actually more pissed than
Yeah, but I mean, same thing. Like they don't get paid for what they invented.
they don't. And
They don't get compensated.
right. And I think
fairly.
nowadays people would probably seek legal advice before just accepting like a deal of like £5,000, you know?
Yeah.
But that's because capitalism is so rampant and people are like always trying to like make sure that they make like their coin, which is like what you should do. Like, don't let the system exploit you. Like, get the money from the system if you can. But I read an article with this guy, Pratt's daughter, who was like, they didn't know what they were doing at the time. It was the 40s, you know, they were in the middle of a friggin' war. And so they just took the money.
Now,
And
if I was the daughter, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, hello, I could be like...
right. No, for sure. And he got some
Trust
royalty
fund
checks
baby.
like for the rest of his life from like the British versions, but not that much. You know, sometimes it would be a lot. Other times it'd be like a couple $100, you know?
Well, I thank him for all the fun and entertainment he's brought in me over the years.
So why grumble, folks? That's the lesson I impart with you. Grace's was, what was yours?
Look at problems a different way, okay? How do you
Right.
eat hot dogs faster?
Right. And don't
Or how
grumble.
to make hot dogs easier to eat. That's what his question was. Anyway,
So
that's it. We're always just here imparting words of wisdom for you. And if you need any more advice, you can follow us on Twitter at The Good Eve Girls
or Instagram at the Good Evening Girls.
or TikTok at The Good Eve Girls.
Come over and check out our new podcast as well. It's called Meet Me in Forks. We talk about Stephanie Meyer's new Twilight book. It's a hot friggin' mess. So come on over, folks.
Come on over and join us. In the meantime, we may be taking a little break
I think that is, yes, I think that's correct.
for the
holiday seasons, baby.
for the winter solstice.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, we may not see you till next year.
If that's the case, folks, please keep warm, keep safe, think about yourselves and your neighbors, and we hope you have a holly jolly happy holidays.
Yes.
Grace
Sorry,
is like,
I
I don't
zoned out.
care.
I do care. Sorry, my mind was just elsewhere. Anyways, yeah, so I guess until then, we will see you later.
Later.
All right.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
gotta go.